Looking for a new car or expert service? Visit Limerick Motor Centre, your main Hyundai dealer on the Ballysimon Road. A proud family business for over 30 years, we're Ireland's longest-serving Hyundai dealer. With sales, service, parts and finance all under one roof, our dedicated team delivers value, expertise and customer care you can trust. Call 061 417 141 or visit limerickmotorcentre.ie. Limerick Motor Centre, driving with you for over 30 years.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well, God, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome once again to Treaty Talk. We're here in association with Hyundai, the Limerick Motor Centre, the main Hyundai dealer for Limerick. Tom Clancy, as ever, joined once and always by Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers. Matt, we're on the final straight for club championships in Limerick. We're down to 4 in football across the 6th grade, so it's really business time for football championships now in Limerick.
It is, Tom, but what a hectic schedule we're heading into. By my calculation, there are, 12 county football semi-finals on between Saturday and Tuesday night. Add in 3 of the Limerick teams competing in the Munster Clubs Championship. And that's 15 matches, 15 key matches. And that'll give you a sense of the activity that's going on. And the condensed nature of it at this stage, which I think is disappointing. And there's a straw in the wind which says that the 6 football finals will be on the week after, together with the C final, which is between Monaghan and Doon. Doon in a third final this year, a hurling final.
Yeah.
I just don't know how we're going to get round to them all, but
we're not, is the short answer.
Not is the answer. But it gives a sense as if one wanted it, that of the amount of activity that goes on in the county board and goes on in Limerick, and but it's disappointing. And I know we wouldn't swap the run of the Tarleton Cup for the world, but and it's the wrong way to put it. But we're suffering the consequences of reaching the Tarleton Cup final now, in that we have a whole crowded fixture going into this is the penultimate weekend, and the following week is going to be the final weekend of the football championships in Limerick. And I know we have to play, we have to get the games finished, and we have a deadline to meet in Munster. I get all that, and I'll say it again, Tom. And I was looking back over Munster records over the last week. Limerick has never failed to field a team and to be ready for the Munster Club Championships game.
Yeah, across the 6 competitions.
Across 6 competitions, Limerick has never failed, which is huge credit to them. And I know it's given us a huge backlog and a huge multiplicity of fixtures for this weekend and next weekend. But look, Tom, it is what it is. We just get on with it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, well, we've a guest this week, and it's a man who has cleared the schedule for the remainder of the year, certainly from a playing perspective anyway. I'm sure he's keeping busy. It's Peter Nash, the Limerick footballer and Kildare-Pallaskenry star, that joins us. Peter, you're glad that there's no fixtures on the schedule this week for yourself and Kildare-Pallaskenry. You're out of trouble. You got the better in the Piercing, and relegation is off the agenda for 2025 at least. So I'm sure relief from the team, the club, the management, and everyone involved.
Yeah, well, I'd love to be playing this weekend. I'd love some parallel universe. It was a semi-final. We were staring down the bar lab, but yeah, it's definitely nice to not be facing a game this weekend and coming through with the relief of having staved off potential relegation last week. Yeah, so it's been a nice little down week now, to be honest with you, so far.
Yeah, you went into round 5 with I suppose a lot to play for in both ways, both contexts, in terms of you could have snuck into third ahead of St. Kieran's, but also you were conscious of defeat would put you into relegation bother, and that's the way it transpired. So how did you pick yourselves back up for the meeting with the Piercing there last Saturday?
Having a little bit of time, having kind of 2 weeks to be able to get to do it was kind of a huge advantage as well, because there would have definitely been a little bit of a hangover from the Gaelic Gaels game going into training for the following week. But over the 6 sessions we had between, you kind of picked yourself up gradually, and you refocused on what you were supposed to be, what the next task was, and what you were supposed to be focusing on, and gradually built a little bit of momentum back into training and stuff like that. It was a huge disappointment, more so the performance than the result, because you couldn't really question the result given Gaelic Gaels' performance on the day. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. And I thought they stopped us from doing a lot of things that we wanted to do and things that we felt we do well. And they were clinical themselves in their purple patch after it started the second half. We found it very, very difficult to deal with them. They were dominant all over the pitch. So we had no qualms that way. But it was just funny the way the group worked out. I'd say St. Kieran's ended up going through, and I'd say they'd have been very, very happy with the start of their group and a little bit disappointed with how their group finished. Gaelic Gaels would have been a little bit disappointed with how their group started and really happy with how it finished. And we would have been kind of a little bit unhappy/happy with our inconsistency across the board. But it was, look, we're content enough now and happy enough that we stayed up. Particularly, again, I mentioned it at the weekend with the age profile of our group, and we're just happy to be looking forward, you know.
Yeah, you mentioned the age profile. It has been a very young Kildare Palace Genry team this year, and maybe we're not giving enough credit to how difficult it is at senior level to do that. You mentioned there the inconsistency. We've seen very few teams at senior, even intermediate, junior, that have been consistent, because probably partially because of the volume of games for lads playing 2 codes. You've probably felt the brunt of that as well, but it's been a very drawn out championship. Matt mentioned the reasoning there. I don't think I wouldn't fault the county board for the way that they moved the fixtures. There was no point in moving hurling and football. They had to just disrupt one, and it was football's turn maybe to be disrupted. But we've played a game in July, a game in August, I think with 2 in September. It has dragged for lads, and it has been challenging for clubs to get that consistency. Have you felt that as a player, because it's been so stop-started? It's been difficult to get that level of consistency into performances.
I think it's most challenging for the guys playing single code. I think it's most challenging for the lads playing football. It's very, very hard to get a feel for where you're at individually when you play for a week or play for 2 weeks and then you get a break for 3. It's very, very hard to get consistency that way. I think it's actually easier with how kind of disjointed the fixtures had been playing both, because you're always playing. You're just going from week to week to week to week. You're keeping certain things topped up during the week in training sessions, and you have a focus every single week. So, like, I do feel that, like, there's very little that could have been done around the fixtures, and like, I always feel that being a dual county, both championships have been respected in the sense that you can see other counties going, we'll get one championship played off, and then you'll play the second championship. And I feel that county board pretty much doing their best, to be honest with you, to try and make sure that there's consistent football and consistent hurling over a period of time for all players in the county. And it's very, very hard to see a solution now. I haven't put time into thinking up one myself, but I do feel that playing both was probably an advantage this year in relation to getting consistency with the way the fixture is laid out.
Right. In terms of relegation, I mentioned you're out of it. Your thoughts are probably with now Matt's crew over in Ballylanders and the Piercing. It's an unenviable position for those clubs to be in this week, because, you know, Ballylanders obviously a very proud senior club in terms of winning senior titles down the years and being at the right end of it. They've struggled for a few years now. The Piercing had been relegated, bounced back quite considerably to get themselves back up. So one of them, unfortunately, is going to bite the bullet this weekend. And it's been a tough season for both teams, because 5 defeats from 5 in the group, and then obviously they lost their semi-finals last week. They just haven't been able to hit anywhere near what they need to at this level, and it's a very unenviable clash for them this weekend.
definitely. You do definitely feel for both teams going into it, because it's arguably more pressure than going into a county final. Do you know, you're trying to survive, you're trying to maintain senior status, you're under the pressure of not having gotten results as the season have gone on, and you're probably asking yourselves a few more questions, kind of confidence wise, than you would be if you were going the other way. So it's a high pressure situation, and it's a very, very difficult game to call. Like, really, really difficult game to call.
Yeah, as I said there, the form lines just aren't good, so you can't say, a bit like you say county final, you might say this club or that club has been particularly good, but you just can't say that here. And at different times they've shown, you know, fighting qualities, and like Na Piarsaigh did well against it there, put up a nice total, but still they haven't got the results, and it's the same for Ballylanders at times too, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And like even playing Na Piarsaigh at the weekend, like, we started really well. We had good control of the game, and then Na Piarsaigh got hold of the middle of the pitch, and they looked really, really tidy going forward. It's just that we got a bit of a purple patch after the break, and it kind of kicked on. And I think kind of confidence kind of told as well once we got our purple patch from that point on. But I really couldn't call it at the weekend. Like, Ballylanders have experience at kind of this end of the year, and in fairness, like, I didn't get to see the game, but I heard they put in a fairly decent performance last week. She said maybe if championship started in October.
They've been one of the best clubs in October for the last few years, but unfortunately it's what's gone before. It has been their Achilles heel, I suppose, isn't it? They've finished strong in each of those relegations. Matt, I'll kick to you there.
Yeah, first of all, Peter, congratulations to Kildare, Pallaskenry and yourself on staying up, and congratulations to yourself on what I think was one of the goals of the season, which was a very, very nice way to sign off. It came about a minute from the end. Talk us through it. It was a very, very special goal, and I think in the occasion that it went a bit under the radar, but it was a very, very an excellent goal.
Yeah, I've been missing them all year now, Matt. So maybe if I had scored them a bit.
You haven't, Pete. No, you haven't. But look, it was a special goal, and what a way to sign off for the year.
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, I've been playing out around the middle of the pitch this year for the whole season. It's a bit of a change from being inside, like I would have been earlier with Limerick. And I really like it out there. I really like it around the middle of the pitch, getting on ball and like being at the coalface, being in the battleground in the middle age.
And being a general nuisance to the opposition.
As much as possible, Matt. Yeah, a general nuisance
Name of the game
is as best you can describe my football ability, to be honest with you.
No.
But yeah, no, I just gambled off Cahill winning the kick out, and a lot of the time it's a fairly safe gamble, and I just continued with my run, and he found me with a kind of an eye of the needle pass, to be honest with you. And then I got my head up, and all of a sudden by accident I was in front of goals about 35 yards out, and I said I'd keep going. And when I got to the 21, I said there's a minute left here, I'll pull the trigger. We'll see what the crack is. And it went in anyway, but I had a couple of chances earlier in the year now, and if I had taken them, we could have been in a different position. But look, that's the way it goes.
But Peter, we briefly mentioned it off air, and this is my last question in relation to relegation, because I want to move on to the senior semi-finals, which are on Saturday. What are your thoughts on the introduction of semi-finals for the relegation this year?
There might be a little bit of bias here now, because we ended up in a semi-final. Look, I know last year we ended up playing Ula in the last round of the group, and neither of us had anything to play for, do you know? So I can potentially maybe understand it being brought in to make sure that kind of the group stages go down in some capacity to the final round. Do you know, that things aren't completely decided. Now, the way the championship worked out this year, with everybody taking points off everybody bar Adair in Group 2, there was still probably lots to play for going into the last round. And look, if the introduction of the semi-finals, if that was the intent behind it, it probably achieved its objective.
But just to counter that, in the case of Ballylanders and the Piarsaigh, they were doomed going into the final round, because even a win for them wouldn't have, would like in under the old system, sometimes a win, the head-to-head rule and all that, 2 points could be enough. Now, generally, it probably hasn't been, but I suppose maybe it's kicking the can down to the bottom. Then, you see what I'm saying? Like you end up kind of cementing them in the bottom spot earlier than maybe you could. So, but I do see that Ula game with yourselves last year, complete dead rubber. It quite literally didn't matter. It was basically a battle for fourth, and fourth was of little value to either team compared to fifth. So it's tricky.
It like that last game with Ula, it did turn out to be an enjoyable game with Ula last year. Like, I mean, it's very rare you get to play senior football without there being some sort of pressure on it. So there was that. Now the introduction of the semi-finals is, look, I probably personally wouldn't agree with it. I know I've said, but that was just trying to give a balanced view on maybe where it was coming from. But like, we were within a kick of a ball, or we were in a couple of kicks of a ball of either ending up in a quarter, and a week later we had to pick ourselves, or 2 weeks later we had to pick ourselves off the ground because all of a sudden relegation became a serious issue. Do you know?
Yeah, and the fact you'd 4 points and maybe both Ballylanders and Pierce get 0. I know. Look, so on the day and all that, they could have pipped you last week, but from that point of view, you might have felt a little bit unjust that you had won 2 senior games, and those other clubs hadn't. But look, I think
on the other side having finished with 3 points, and one of those points coming with a draw against Father Casey's.
Very true. Yeah. That's a very fair point. They were well adrift of the bottom spot as you were really. I know you were fifth, but you were well ahead of it. Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, Peter, can we turn to the top now? And enough said about the bottom. And you know what I'm hoping for on Saturday. My colours are nailed to the mast already. So, but it will be what it will be. You've seen a couple of the teams that are involved in the semi-finals at first hand. You had games against Munster and against Newcastle West. Now, the game against Newcastle West was I've seen Munster, I think, about 4 times this year. And I can't satisfy my own mind to exactly where you are, because I have seen some excellent performances and I've seen some damn bad performances. Now, the Newcastle West one was one of those. How do you see it now? You had a very good game with Munster St. Paul's, actually. And these are 2 teams now that are in the semi-final. They were in the same group as you. It's the same 4 semi-finalists as last year. The pairings are different, which is at least a bit of a change. How do you see it panning out on Saturday?
Again, it's very hard to call. Like, to be honest with you, I think the 4 clubs involved are a small bit different to some of the rest of us, in the sense that I think, to be honest with you, at the start of the year, they're setting out to get to knockout football. And they're doing that by hook or by crook, and they're thinking, right, we get to a semi-final, we get to a quarter-final, we get to a semi-final, we have big games to come, and the season can take on its life itself from there. And we know that, like, these games can take on life themselves at any point in time, do you know? But to be honest with you, I feel that, like, on Saturday, or on Saturday and Sunday, Saturday in particular, like, I'm looking at probably, like, I think Adair and Newcastle West, based off their experience. Now, like, I was very impressed with Munster when we played them. For the first 10 minutes of the game, they controlled everything, and like the pace that they played at was kind of made me look at it and go, okay, this is a contender's pace.
Anything to be said, Peter, that for Munster, that they had to go into the trenches last week with Monaleen in awful conditions and win a knockout game? Anything to say that can really give them a huge, I suppose, boost coming into a game like Adair, because they'll have to probably find another gear to beat a team like Adair, because we've seen how consistent Adair have been for basically a decade now at this stage. Like, so anything to be said that Munger's, they might have turned over a new leaf last week,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think that's just further to the point that I was making. I think Munger's at the start of the year, we're kind of looking at it going, okay, we get to knock out football and we kick on from there. And I think that's kind of, to a certain extent, what their mindset will probably be. I'm very, very interested to see what they're going to bring to the table at the weekend. I think that, like, they will have learned an awful lot over the last 18 months, 2 years at senior football. And they are a young group as well. Do you know, they have a lot of young, high quality players. I do think last week's game will stand to them. Again, given the conditions that the game were played in, and I saw their goal, how
super
slick,
hands, wasn't it? Yeah.
unbelievable, how slick and how tidy the interplay was. Given those conditions, they did that to us for three out of their 4 goals against us. 2 of them were handled errors for me, I think, on our 45, and they broke and punished. And I think if they can do that, if Adair don't do something to counteract that as regards setup or regards having someone constantly holding the 6th position and making sure that those goal opportunities aren't coughed up, I think that Munster have the potential to do that to anyone.
Yeah, I think they've got 15 goals in their games so far, like 6 games, 15 goals, 14 or 15 anyway. It's pretty impressive, like, you know.
I thought the way they adapted, particularly against the wind in the second half, you know, it told me something about Munster, and the resilience they showed in the second half. Against the breeze, they outscored them only in 5 points to 2, and that was crucial in the end. And were it not for that late goal, they were quite comfortable. They seemed to be quite comfortable. I thought I saw a new dimension to Munster, considering they had been playing a lot of summer football up to now. But to me, they adapted well to what was. You could hardly get more winter football than last Sunday.
Well, they don't have fear or inferiority to anyone. I don't think, to be quite honest with you, they've drawn Newcastle in the first round.
Well, they were pipped the point.
Or they were pipped by point. Sorry.
Yeah. But they were there all the way through, like, you know. Yeah,
they were there all the way through. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I just feel that I don't think that they'll go in with any sort of inferiority, high up or low down. I do think last week's game will stand to them, but just from what I've seen of Adair this year, they play with a kind of a control and confidence.
They seem to know they know what they're doing on every single play. There seem to be nothing off the cuff about it. In the best possible sense, they have real control about what everyone is doing. I think from 1 to 20, really, you know.
100%, yeah, and they have players that are stepping in across the course of the year, and it's like that. It's just that consistency, next man up all the time.
Yeah, they've so successfully done that. And you're right, it's the strength and depth of their panel. Now they're going to be down 3 players, from what I hear. Shane Doherty and the 2 Connollys through injury. But it'll be the next man up, and as John Kiley used to often say about the process will continue. And then everybody seems to have bought into what it is from 1 to 25 or 1 to 30, however many they name. People come off the bench, and it doesn't seem to matter a damn to what they're about and the way they play.
Definitely, like the 3 players you mentioned are really, really experienced players and really, really high quality players that you would back in matchups in particular. Like, I know David Connolly has done some of the best marking jobs I've ever seen on players, and just quietly going about his business all the time, like a really consistent, really, really high quality.
At inter-county level, you're talking.
At all levels, at all levels, and all kinds of different types of tests. Like even in hurling matchups, like he's just always quietly gone about his business. And I don't think I've ever seen. I know this is probably a fairly sweeping statement, but I don't think I've ever seen him lose many 1-to-1 battles, if any at all. Do you know? But those leaders will be a big loss. But I do think that they're probably
still have enough, in depth wise, yeah.
And within that Adair panel, there's definitely the lads that are seeing this is an opportunity to stake a claim and to kick on, you know.
Every day they go out to play, there seems to be players on the field, and 'tis an audition for them to get that starting jersey.
Yeah, it's a real sign of health. Like it's a real sign of health for a group.
Yeah, that is one of, we're streaming both games at the weekend, so that's one of them. The other one is Newcastle West, who obviously off the back of 3 in a row were, I suppose, a little bit depleted last year in the semi-final, and they were worthy winners to dethrone them, but they've come back. I wouldn't say with total consistency, but they nevertheless they arrive into the semi-final yet again. They come through the group phase unbeaten yet again, and starting to churn, I'm sure, in the last few weeks, starting to find their top gear. and in their way stands Father Casey. So there'll be no love lost between those two clubs. So I'd say nothing will focus the mind like the sight of the Father Casey jersey maybe coming for Newcastle West at the weekend.
That's a certainty, Tom.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing both games, but I'm looking forward to seeing that battle between the two of them. And I think potentially Newcastle's season is going the opposite. They're getting players back. They've been missing the influence of some of their key players all through the group stages, and again just getting the job done. And we're tested by St. Kieran's, we're tested by Gaelic Gaels,
yeah. But still in both scenarios, maybe against Gaelic Gaels, they probably could have been accused of throwing it away, but still managed to come up with a score to draw it. The same against St. Kieran's. Look, they were behind in stoppage time both games, still managed to find a way. And that's even if you go back to how they won their county title in Kilmallock a few years ago. They were down at the end, but somehow managed to use all their guile, experience, quality to find the score. And that just like that's going to carry so much importance to them in what should be another very, very tight game. They know how to get the job done, a bit like Adair in a lot of regards.
Definitely, and they have players all over the pitch that can pop up with one of those moments. Like I know it was Darren O'Doherty in that game you're talking about.
Doc.
Doc, and I know even last year he was kicking 45s for them and different things. They have players all over the pitch like Mike Mack. He's consistently doing it over years.
But even like against the Mike Mack back at centre back, kind of full back, just minding the house. They're very versatile. Ian Corbett he's putting his hand up for a county call up as a forward or something now. He's free scoring, and he's one of the, I think he's his second highest scorer in the championship. Like they're not.
Don't be reminding Peter he got 3 goals against Kildare.
Yeah, he decided to sign off after scoring a hat-trick against us.
Oh yeah. I'd say Jimmy Lee will have his number now. He might give him a bell for the county team.
No, but seriously, the impact of despite the fact that he's retired from the county scene, his impact in the club championship hasn't diminished in the slightest, and his enthusiasm for the club championship that hasn't diminished either. Yeah,
if anything, it's gone up the other way even. So yeah. But for Father Casey's, obviously they were in the final last year, Peter, and didn't put their best foot forward. Again, the group stage has been a bit of a slow burner for them, but probably trying to come to the boil at the right time. And they'll have been buoyed by that narrow victory last week over St. Kieran's. A couple of things went their way. I think St. Kieran's missed a penalty in the second half and maybe had missed a few opportunities, but they grounded out. And a lot to be said for that. Winning knockout games it builds steeliness, and it's certainly something that Father Casey's will be trying to add to their arsenal as we go on.
Definitely. They got results in 4 out of their 5 games, like 2 wins, 2 draws, and I think it is that case that they have been kind of grinding out games as the year have gone on. And like you said, Matt, you said that Mungret had added a new dimension to what they were doing, and football at this time of the year is very different, very, very different to summer football.
Yes.
Father Casey's having grinded out results over the kind of group stages. It does bode well for them at the weekend as well. But I just feel that, look, I think if Newcastle West get a couple of those really, really key influential players back, they just have that bit of star quality, but they also have that experience, that guy that you spoke about, and players that are stepping up all over the pitch. Thomas Quilligan has been excellent for Newcastle this year.
Absolutely.
Absolutely outstanding. Todd Donovan.
But it has been for a number of years a totally consistent player, Thomas.
Yeah, and probably not getting the credit he deserves, because he's a really, really high quality player. Todd Donovan has been brilliant for Newcastle this year. He was very, very good against us. They're after getting Nixie back. And we all know how good Nixie is.
For sure.
Emmett Richter has played very little this year. Yes. Yeah. But I understand he could be on for the semi-final.
Yeah, and you would hope so. You just want to see everybody with their best players on the pitch.
You want to see the best footballers, no matter who they're playing for.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
And when it came to the semi-final last year, there probably won too many injuries now. Ian Corbett was among those, but it just, when you're missing 3 or 4 key players, you can only withstand so much of that especially when you're playing, with the best of the best in Limerick, and maybe it just came one too many. But you're right, they're probably getting closer to full health at the right time. I won't ask you to call it, Peter. I know you're a little bit after time
before you ask him to call
in a roundabout way of I kind of half called it, but
yeah, I leaned it for the old reliables.
I want to go back to Father Casey's. I saw him a couple of times during the year. I saw him particularly in the game against Monaleen, and I saw the 15 they lined out, and they'd be a kind of a 15 that you dream of. But like they have your 4 county colleagues, like the makeup of the team is excellent. Like you outside of the county colleagues, you add on Elia Reardon, add on former players Adrian Enright, Davy Ward, John Reardon, and to me, Father Casey's they're underperforming, in my opinion. And probably underperformed in the county final last year. And all right, they dug out 4 results out of 5 in the group stages, dug out a result against St. Kieran's. But I have a sense that Father Casey's are not near their full potential, Peter. And right, if it comes on Saturday, Newcastle West, beware.
And look, with full respect to everybody playing at the weekend, I to a certain extent agree with you. But again, you look at the quality of player that they have, but you balance that out with the age profile of the group as well a little bit. Like playing against Adare, playing against the Cast West in big games over the last couple of years, they've been playing against a kind of an older, more experienced set of players that have been used to playing in county finals and used to doing this at senior level over a period of time. Like, if you want my flat out honest opinion, I think it's only a matter of time for Father Casey's. I think it is coming down the line, and I do think that when they get one, it will solidify what they're doing, and again, I think they'll kick on from there massively. But I think they're a serious team. We've played them a couple of times over the last couple of years. And again, that pace and intensity at which the Mungret play that I spoke about at the start, Father Casey's have hit us with that pace and that intensity on a couple of occasions. And I just think that it is coming around the corner, whether this weekend it'll happen or not. It just takes time to get to the consistency and the level, and it takes a bit of hurt, and it takes a little bit of learning from, to a certain extent, negative experiences to get you there at adult level,
I agree with you totally. When I saw the team sheet that particular night, that I took the stock of it and it was unchanged, I said, wouldn't any club die for this line out? When you take the players individually and like when you see how the 4 players that were with you through the Tarleton Cup journey, Fikra Cotter, Dermot Buckley, Mark McCarthy has been absolutely outstanding, and Rory O'Brien. To see how much these guys have come on in 18 months, what a boost to a club. And there seems to be, to me, there's a missing ingredient, and the big question is to put the finger on it.
I think the missing ingredient is just that experience. I think once it happens once, and I know the pressure builds over a period of time, but look, I think a lot of it has to do with them being so talented and so good and getting these opportunities so early in their stage of development that it will come down the tracks for them. And you spoke about Mark McCarthy there. I think if you spoke to a lot of our boys inside, kind of on a 1-to-1, I'd say a lot of them would say that they'd call Mark their player of the year for us. He was just
a few people said to me at matches, how didn't he get into the Tarleton Cup team of the year? He was in that. He surely was in that conversation nationally. He was that consistent over the competition and before that as well in the league. So he'd a tremendous season for Limerick, and it has to augur well that he's brought that form back to Father Casey's as well. He's a leader. He's a leader, even though he's still a very, very young player.
Very young boy, yeah. And if you were selecting a player of the Limerick Championship, Mark McCarthy would be a prime contender. Nash would be, of course, as well. But
his head won't fit in the screen now, Matt, in a minute.
No, I'm serious about that. Year in, year out. But Mark would be a prime contender, Peter.
Definitely, but sure, like even the first round of the league against Longford above, glided forward, kicked one off his right, one off his left when scores were needed, and just took off from there. And
I'm here. I've arrived. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, look, okay, you're kind of sitting on the fence, but you're kind of also leaning towards Adair and Newcastle West. I kind of agree with you, but I could not rule out Mungert, especially I think after last week. And both Mungert and Father Casey have got those monkeys off the back in recent times of winning knockout games. Father Casey getting to a final last year, there's a lot of talk that hadn't been in one for so long before. So, sometimes those little milestones can be needed first before the big jumps are taken. So maybe this weekend is one of those for them. But we shall see. Peter, I know you're caught for time. We've gone well over your allotted slot, but anyway, that's the way we roll here. We'll leave you go, and do enjoy the rest of the championship from a watching brief, and we shall chat to you again soon, I'm sure.
Most certainly will. And thank you very much.
Thanks for everything during the year, Peter.
Not at all. Thank you for everything.
All right. Cheers, Peter.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Talk to you soon. Yeah, great to have Peter there.
Fantastic. But he played down the goal, Tom. It was one for the ages. But just so late in the game that, it got caught up on the excitement of the final whistle coming and Kildimo Pallaskenry being out of the woods. But it was a work of art, Tom. It was off the chats.
Yeah, I must contact.
And Tom, I dispute. I didn't want to dispute it too much with him there about him missing goals. I didn't see any of him in 3 or 4 matches.
I was only at 2 of their games. I don't remember him missing too many, to be fair. Although he drew. Did he hit the post or fine save against Galty Gales? The goalkeeper from the Gales made a great save to stop him. It was little he did wrong there, but look, he did a decent season, more than a decent season for his club. And I think that day against Newcastle West was a steep learning curve for a lot of their players. I think Peter.
They were crippled with injury at that.
They were, but I was just going to say Peter's the oldest player on the pitch by some distance. I think Carl Downs is their second oldest player, and Carl is only maybe 24 or so, and that'll tell you how young a team that went up against the vastly experienced Newcastle West. Matt, I just to come back to those semi-finals. Look, they're 2 mammoth games, as I said, both being streamed at the weekend, 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. How are you seeing them? Are you kind of going with the tried and trusted Newcastle West?
I am, but I'm going with Newcastle West because
the farm line for Casey's. You're talking about it there. Father Casey's farm line. Their farm is okay, as in results wise, but their actual performance level. The couple of times I saw them against Rakiel, I saw them against Ula, the 2 games they drew, and I wouldn't say I was overly impressed relative to where they were 12 months ago. Are you in agreement with that?
I'm in agreement with him. I'm in agreement with that, Tom. And but what I cannot reconcile is that if you look at their panel, it's as good as anything in the championship. You can put it up there against Adair, you can put it up against Mungret, you can put it up against Newcastle West. They have a fantastic panel of players.
Yeah, but they just haven't.
It just isn't coming right for them for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah, no,
and it isn't as if the conveyor belt has dried up or anything. Like they won the Premier Championship in 2024, minor championship. Like they're consistently on the winners' rostrum at underage, and like it is one of the great mysteries of Father Casey's. So many great players have come through their underage structure and haven't transitioned to senior football.
Yeah,
because I've been saying it since this podcast started 7 years ago, Tom.
Yeah, 2017 years since they won it senior, isn't it? 2008, I think. Yeah,
2006, I think.
2006, sorry. It was 2008 since they contested the final up until last year, I think. Sorry, yeah. So that'll tell you it's coming up. This is the 19th or 20th season now since they won it. So it's it makes for stark reading for them.
They play good football, but I just can't put my finger on it. And there's no argument about it, Tom. They deserve a breakthrough for what they've contributed.
Yeah, that's for sure. But
I don't think it was like Doon last year. I don't think there's a single football supporter in this county would begrudge it to them.
Yeah, certainly from the point of view of how close they've been and how, I suppose, consistent they've been at underage in particular.
Absolutely. Their contribution to Limerick football has been enormous, Tom. And like there are 4 players on the county panel. 4 players.
Yeah.
We spoke about Mark McCarthy. Now, Fikra Cotter is dogged by injury at the moment, and probably is doubtful for Saturday's game. You've Dermot Buckley and you've Rory O'Brien.
Yeah.
As I said, think of the contribution that the like of John Reardon, Davy Ward have given over the years to Limerick. Elijah Reardon.
Adrian Enright as well in there in the mix.
Adrian Enright. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the senior games. 1 p.m. for Father Casey's. Sorry, 1 p.m. for Mungert and Adair, isn't it? That's in Eskeaton, and then in McNeville Park. Sorry, it is Father Casey's versus Newcastle West. Both games brought to you on Limerick GA TV in association with Stream Sport. So, if you can't make them, you can tune in to either or indeed both on Saturday afternoon. And the relegation final takes place at 2 p.m. in between the two of them, which will see Ballylanders facing the Piercing and perish the top, Matt, but it is a necessary evil of a poor season for both teams. As one of them, unfortunately, will bite the bullet and drop to.
Tom, look, whoever will bite the bullet or whoever will drop on Saturday evening, they deserve to drop because they'll have lost 7 games out of 7.
Yeah, it's a very simple argument when you put it that way, and they'll have lost the game to the team on their level, if you like. They'll have lost 6 from 6, and it's a one-off game completely. The previous 6 games have come for absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
It'll be 7th heaven for one of them, and it'll be hell for the other. But look, that's the way it is.
I'm not so sure that it will be hell for the 7th heaven.
Well, in one regard, yeah.
Because maybe they might be prolonging the agony for another year,
Yeah, but to be fair to the Piercing, they've been in the last 2 quarterfinals.
They have. This is the point. It's a complete fall from grace from the Piercing. Peter was saying there about teams starting poorly and finishing well, and vice versa. Last year, you remember, the Piercing lost the first 2 games. Got a hammering from Mungert actually in the first
18 points, I think. That was Mungert's first senior game in 20 odd years. Yeah,
lost to Ballylanders in the second round, and you were there with me. Rob Downey kicking a late point. The only group game that Ballylanders have won in the last 2 years, and then came good and got 2 wins and a draw to reach the quarterfinal. I think it was Father Casey's that eventually put them out.
Yeah, but the last 2 quarterfinals have lost to Father Casey's and lost quite well. So probably, I wouldn't say false, they obviously got there on merit, but probably right at their level in terms of they were never going to extend beyond that in either season. But look, that's them. That's a 2 p.m. start. Remind me where that game is on. I don't have it noted here. Sorry. In Hospital. Okay, hopefully pitch is lined and everything after disappointment from a few weeks ago. Okay, moving down the grades, Matt. Eskeaton, Ballysteen, Kilcorn and they got the better of Pallasgreen at the weekend, and they will move into a semi-final where they'll face Galway. That's moved to Tuesday the 4th due to Gary Spillane's involvement in Munster Club this Saturday, which will come to Annan. And then the other semi-final sees Kappa face St. Senans. It was St. Senans who got the better of St. Patrick's, and Kappa had won their group. So we have interesting combinations here, because we've Galway, who in last year's final looking to get back to another. Eskeaton, Ballysteen, Kilcorn are obviously relegated as Ballysteen last season, looking to bounce back towards senior. We have St. Senans, who have been kind of in the middle of this championship for a long while, and we've Kappa looking for back-to-back promotions. So all 4 clubs coming at it from different directions, Matt.
Yeah, coming at it from different directions, but all 4, Tom, you would have to say, harbouring genuine hopes.
For sure,
but I suppose it's fair to say that the story of the Intermediate Football Championship this year, and there are other stories which are not so good, which we promised last week we'd touch on this week, and we'll be touching on them shortly, but has been the performance of Kappa. Like they were promoted as Junior A champions last year. And of course, they're a sort of a sister club of Croke Kilfinny, in that there's a big crossover players between Croke Kilfinny and Kappa. So you could say that they'd done a double last year. And they were juggling with hurling with Croke Kilfinny, football with Kappa at a higher level this year, which the higher the level you go, the more difficult it is to juggle these things. But like to win 4 games out of 5, Tom, and on the way, they knocked Drumculloch Bradford out of the championship. They beat Clahan. You know, two of the clubs that you would be thinking would be in the mix in the concluding stages.
I would
the
say
only time that they lost was to St. Patrick's.
I'd say if you asked 100 people to pick two out of St. Pat's, sorry, not St. Pat's, or two out of St. Sennans, sorry, not St. Sennans, two from Kappa, Bradford, and who's the other team you said there?
St. Pat's.
St. Pat, yeah. Pick two of them to get through, you know, two of those three. Clahan, sorry. There'd be very few people would have said Kappa from the outset. Very few people.
I think if you asked them to pick three, very few of them would have picked Kappa. But full credit to Kappa.
Yeah, they won the group. Yeah.
Like they came into the championship with the momentum of winning the Junior A championship.
Yeah.
And built on it.
Yeah, and then in the final round, Matt, it was a de facto quarter final with Skeeton, Ballysteen, Kilcorn, and a local derby because they're neighbouring clubs, and I know Kappa and Kilcorn used to have an agreement crossing over players and stuff like that. But they won that game, and a big win it was because it propels them into a semi-final. So full credit to them, yeah. And it's St. Sennans on Saturday that stand in their way of another.
Yeah, St. Sennans didn't make the group stages last year, or the playoff stages at all last year, and they've had a decent enough season. They suffered an alarming defeat to Galway in the penultimate round. That would be something that would worry. I think that would worry them. Of course, Galway got a walkover in the final round.
Yeah.
What's new in this competition?
It's been a while since we had one, but yeah.
But it's like St. Sennans now beat St. Patrick's. I think the game having a quarter final is going to be of benefit to St. Sennans.
Yes.
And of course, now Cormac Wolf, I understand, is out, but they have a certain James Norton.
Never heard of him, Matt.
in the side, and you know what that means. It means scores.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's going to be close. I think the experience, the benefit of having a quarter final, and the greater experience that they would have had playing at this level, I think, in my opinion, edges it towards St. Sennans.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I may be being sharpened by a knockout game last week, whereas Kappa.
That's the point. The benefit of that quarter final.
They've been idle for some time. But look, Tuesday then, I suppose these are two teams, Skeeton, Ballysteen, Kilcorn, and Galway, that you would have picked out for knockout football from the very outset.
Tom, I saw him playing in the league final, and I said to a number of people after seeing a preview of the championship final.
Yeah, no, it hasn't worked out like that, but you're not far off.
It hasn't worked out like that. But you know, one of them is going to bite the dust on
Tuesday.
On Tuesday evening. Now, on that occasion, Galway looked to be well ahead. Skeeton, Ballysteen, Kilcorn came back, and in the end were beaten by a point on a night when David O'Shaughnessy got 2 goals and 9 points. And Danny Neville, of course, was involved with the Limerick team at the time and wasn't involved in the game. So it's all set up for a fantastic semi-final in Rebogue. This is one that's very, very, very hard to call. Now, I was looking at the groups, Tom, and you would have to conclude, and this, you know, teams can only play what's put in front of them.
Yep.
But Galway would appear, whether you concur with this or not, they appear to have come out of the easier group.
Yeah.
Because if you take Skeeton, they had Bradford, they had St. Pat's, they had Kappa, they had Clahan. That was a very, very, very strong group. Now, I don't want to be naming the teams that were in Galway's group.
Well,
other to say than that they were not as strong.
Yeah, well, ultimately, and I would name them. Obviously, Glyn have withdrawn from the competition and hadn't won a game, so they were obviously under pressure from the get-go. You've Newcastle West second team, and you Crocora Manister, who probably their first love would lie with hurling, and probably didn't show their true colours till near the end of the championship.
And got 2 wins.
Yeah, but
And then you had Palace Green, and you see how they went down to.
Palace Green probably surprised themselves in some regard of getting out of the group. Yeah.
So, coming to that conclusion, but I think I'll take you back to 2018. Gaelic won the Premier Intermediate Championship. Galway won the Junior Football Championship. Winning can be contagious. There's a big crossover between Gaelic and Galway.
They won the junior in 18, was it? Or the
No, they won the intermediate football in 18.
Yeah. So they won.
Galway were subsequently beaten in the Munster Championship by Fermoy, over in Fermoy. I was at it. And gave a good account of themselves on the same day now. But Gaelic have a huge game at the weekend.
Yeah, there's a bit of a tax on that now in regards of what state it leave them in physically for Tuesday night, but it's a welcome problem in one regard, but certainly one that they'll have to be.
We'll be talking about it in a minute, Tom. But in my view, to say at this stage, I saw their performance in the Munster Championship in 2018, 7 years ago, and I think Gaelic are far better equipped on this occasion to tackle Munster, and that will mean that there's at least is there 7 or 8 players like you've Jamie O'Sullivan, Robert Sampson, the three Sheehans, Dylan O'Shea, Ryan Tobin, Onan Mahoney. They're all playing football and hurling.
Yeah. It's but look, sometimes the momentum is what will be the word used.
Yeah, there's a certain contagion between the two of them that winning becomes contagious.
Yeah, that's for sure. But look, we'll come to a preview of the hurling in a moment. But look, it's Skeeton, Ballysteen, Kilcornan against Galway next Tuesday night. But before that, we'll know the first team in the final when Kappa face St. Senan's this Saturday. So we'll have a team from the West in the final guaranteed. And it's a case then of South versus West next Tuesday. The relegation piece, Matt, we skimmed over it last week. We would have had relegation semi-finals here, which I believe would have involved Newcastle West, Glyn, who else?
Gerald Griffins,
and who's the other one?
Clahan.
Yeah.
You had I forget the pairings now. Newcastle West and Clahan, Glyn and Gerald Griffins. That was the proposed.
Yeah. They were the semi-final pairings. Now, before a ball was kicked in anger, or indeed even near a ball being kicked in anger, Glyn withdrew. Now, I do know we spoke to someone from Gerald Griffins, yourself and myself, I think, and Gerald Griffins are struggling for numbers, generally speaking. I think they had 17 for one game, maybe 20 or 21 was kind of the mean number they had for games. Glyn, I'm not sure, I haven't heard reports back, but they are fielding a second team, so this appears to me, Matt, to be, and again, I'm completely open to correction, a decision made by the club that they feel they'd be better off served in Premier Junior. It has been a struggle for a few years at them at intermediate level.
It has, in fairness, it has, and rather than direct any angst at Glyn, I would be, as somebody that has been calling for something to be done about the intermediate football championship for a number of years, I think not doing something about it now is not an option.
Yeah, I think we need to go down to 8 teams at this level. 8.
Yeah,
12 is
job, Tom, with walkovers. I remember in the Piershik, the year that they came up, they went into a county semi-final having played 3 games with 2 walkovers. No, I'm not saying that was good for the Piershik or lucky for the Piershik. It wasn't. It wasn't the way to go in. It was poor preparation for them, but they rose above it and won their semi-final and final. But you shouldn't have that type of situation. And it has to be addressed.
It sure does. Yeah, I think a case of we need to nearly get rid of, if team we get rid is the wrong, but we need to maybe regrade teams out of this grade and, and so on down the way, because there's probably teams that should be, playing at junior, and there's probably teams that should be playing even lower, than where they are now across the grades. And, I think maybe we go 12 senior, 8 intermediate, and then maybe 12 teams beyond that. I don't know. I don't know to have a perfect solution, but we have not had a 12-team competition that has run smoothly in about 6 or 7 seasons now at this stage.
No, and what this needs is discussion at the county convention. That is the place, and that is the forum.
Yes.
Not these kind of caucuses that they have in January or any of that kind of thing when clubs come in. That's one way to focus the clubs. These meetings that they have in January, how binding are those?
I have no idea.
Have there minutes taken?
Myself, I'm a bit like the clubs. I'm completely disengaged, but
right.
we don't
we go to convention. The clubs go to convention and make a decision on the structure that they want that suits them, and it's binding. If passed, it's binding.
Right.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I was told at the South Convention last year when there was no motions and something like that came up that there were going to be meetings in January.
Too late.
Convention is the place for all these things to be discussed, Tom.
Just
and doing nothing about the football championship. Tom, the intermediate football championship is no longer an option.
Yeah, it should be the second. Well, it is the second competition. It should be, I think, a lot. You see in some counties, in Limerick, hurling rules the roost in a lot of areas. Let's not sugarcoat it, but in other counties, their intermediate football grade is quite competitive. Even the likes of Clare and Tipperary. Now Tipperary have had struggles at senior level actually with walkovers and teams withdrawing and stuff like that. So the other counties are not without their problems either. I'm not saying Limerick is unique, but the intermediate grade for Limerick it doesn't. As someone who played in the Premier Junior grade, it didn't look overly aspirational to get to that level and say there's the promised land over there in terms of intermediate football. And that's just the reality of it. You had Bruff withdrawing. I'm trying to think who else withdrew a few years ago.
Well, Glenn gave a walkover, and Newcastle West given a walkover this year, and you'd wonder.
We'd fought a Casey's second team withdrew a few years ago. Now I think that was a genuine case of they quite literally didn't have.
They were hit by immigration.
Yeah.
That year, and it has been dogged by all this, and you just wonder. Did Glenn take a preemptive strike and get in ahead of Newcastle West, who probably wanted to go down as well?
Yeah, I know, and is it good that second teams are in the competition and they can kind of pick and choose? And I'm not saying Newcastle West were picking and choose, but can they, come and go from it? Like Father Casey's second team are in the semi-final in the grade below, and there's possibility they'll come back into it. But will they be strong enough then next year to stand on their own 2 feet? That's the predicament. Look, that's the scenario there. You would worry based on what I said there about Gerald Griffins with sheer numbers. You would worry about the viability of some clubs.
Think of the contribution that they have given to the county in recent years. Colin McSweeney, Jim Liston, Tommy Griffin, Darren Noonan.
Yeah. I mean, for a club like that to have 4, like as I said there, they only have 20 low 20s players available.
There's someone else that I'm missing now. Please forgive me, but
there's the 4 that spring to mind for me anyway. But they only probably had 25 adult players available to them at one point, and they have 4 of them on the county team, which is absolutely phenomenal. But you would worry, and look, I know they're neighbours with Lynn there. There was murmurings, very unofficial, that there would be discussions with those 2 clubs. I know they're merged at a lot of underage levels, but whatever the solution is, we just don't want to see walkovers. We don't want to see teams pulling out of competitions, and we don't want to see teams, I suppose, demoting themselves almost, as is the case.
No. We can't have self-relegation. Is the same as self-regulation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you make the decision. And if just to briefly on the relegation piece, you skip down to Junior A. Fedamore withdrew before a ball was kicked. I know they fielded a hurling team in the Junior B level, but at Junior A football, they didn't. They were in the county semi-final last year. It was a bit of ongoings there with illegal players and whatever, but they've withdrew from the competition. The Piercing second team played 1 game in the Junior B competition. They withdrew, and then I don't know, to be any other withdrawals in football, but it's not great. There was a couple of walkovers in the latter rounds as well, but that was probably more clubs looking after their house for hurling.
Yeah, and there was some walkovers as you predicted at the start of the year in Junior C.
Yeah. No, it wasn't as many as I thought. Maybe I thought there'd be a lot more.
No, but they were there. But that is something that you would expect, because some clubs were just fielding a team just to get out there, you know.
Yeah.
And it's great, like Kilmallock and Patrickswell, who would be hurling bastions. And, now Kilmallock fell by the wayside, but it's great to see Patrickswell are in the semi-final.
Yeah, we'll come to it now. Actually, we'll skim down through the grades. The Premier Junior ranks. So we've covered intermediate. Sorry, Premier Junior, Croom, who won their group, they will face Ahan. Ahan proved too strong for Ballylanders last week. So Ahan, a bit like Kappa, seeking back-to-back county finals, seeking back-to-back promotions. They meet in Mungert on Saturday at 1 p.m. Elsewhere, it is Fina Kilmeedy who edged by Mungert St. Paul's, and they will face Father Casey's in Newcastle West this Sunday. Now, Fina actually gave a walkover, speaking of, in round 1, but have bounced back quite well in order to come into the quarterfinals. I think they snuck through in the last day, and now they've won through to a semi-final. So they face Father Casey's second team, and relegation in this group will be take place tomorrow evening. That's Thursday, which will be between
Collins and Granabel
and Gary after they lost the semi-finals last week.
That's a big come down from Mount Collins. It's not. It's hardly a decade since they played in the senior championship.
Yeah, they weren't a long-term senior championship fixture, but they were nevertheless there. You know.
They got their. I remember they won their county final in Kilmallock in Monsoon.
Yeah, and
they were up senior. I think they were senior for 1 year. I should look at the records here, but I think it was 1 year they were up senior. But that'll tell you the fall from grace because.
But another huge rural area, I should say, small rural area. You know, in terms of and right on the extremity of the county, it is a difficult case for them. But they face Granite Ballingarry trying to preserve their status at Premier Junior level. Junior A, it's Hospital Herberstown facing Camogue in a South Derby. Camogue got the better of Banogue last weekend on the AstroTurf in UL. They're penciled in for an 11:30 start Sunday morning in the Kilmallock. Adair versus St. Kieran's. St. Kieran's looking, again, another side looking for back-to-back promotions, having won Junior B last season. They're facing
They beat Ballylanders on Monday.
Yeah. Sorry, had I the wrong... did I say Ballylanders? Ahan beat... Who did Ahan beat? So in Premier Junior, not Ballylanders. Sorry, I was... Monagea. Sorry, apologies. I've got my the colours right, but the club wrong. So it was Ballylanders who fell to St. Kieran's second team. And St. Kieran's, it's a veteran team, I'm told, but they're on the rise again.
Yeah, they were Junior B last year, and they won the Junior B. They won around in the Munster Junior B clubs, and they have some veteran players, but they're damn good ones.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, so 2 p.m. on Sunday in the Bog Garden in Junior B. It's Knockganey versus Brewery, as it was in round 5. Knockganey. We got the better of Gerald Griffin, so back in the semi-final. I'd say it'll be a much-changed Brewery team somehow or other this time around. So, look, we'll see how it goes. Beat Galtee Gales narrowly, just 3 points in it in the end in Knocklang. We actually played in the old field in Knocklang, and Donny Ryan was out marking the lines again, Matt. So we'll tip our hat to Donny. He had the lines marked on Saturday morning. Most of them anyway. The arc and all was there. So one of our lads used the arc to good effect as well. So good to see. And in fairness on a weekend where pitches were nearly unplayable around the county, I should say, that Gary Spillane obliged again. Go on.
I just said to you, Tom, a warning to yourself and a warning to your Knockganey teammates. Beware of Brewery when they're out of the hurling.
Oh, yeah, well, we know that, yeah. They I wouldn't say gave us a walkover, but they put out a Bear team in round 5, and you know, it was a complete mismatch, but it would be anything but, I think, on Saturday afternoon. Looking forward to it, though. The other semi-final, Knock On versus Ballybricken. Knock On, of course, have lost finals in 19 and 22. I was looking, Matt, they haven't won an adult title themselves since 1941, when they won the senior.
41, they were county senior champions.
Yeah, so they haven't won an adult title for my skim of the record books earlier this week. Since then, so another county final on the horizon.
Yeah, they were beaten in a county final by Banogue.
Yeah, and they lost again a couple of years ago.
In the last 4 years, it was played in Martinstown, and there was an absolute throng there.
Yeah, that was the 2019 final, and they lost again in 22. They were beaten by, oh God, I can't recall who. They were well beaten anyway in the second final. It was the last gasp.
It was the last minute Gary McInerney goal.
Yeah, it was an epic occasion, albeit...
it was an epic occasion, and I'll tell you, the Staker Wallace venue and the logistics around hosting a big game was really tested that night, and the fair credit to the Staker Wallace club. They passed it with flying colours.
Yeah, so standing in their way of another final for Knock-On is Ballybricken, who they were 8 points to 1 down against Knockaderry last Saturday, and kicked the last 8 scores to win by 9 points to 8. So credit to them. They got the last 2. I was at it. They got the last 2 of the first half, and they got all the scores in the second half. So using the wind to good effect. But they're Ballybricken, another club, I suppose, maybe starved of adult success down the years. So actually, you're going to kind of look at the 4 clubs there: Brewery, Knockany, Knock-On, and Ballybricken. Not a million miles away from each other either, Matt. But
No.
silver at adult level for all 4 has been hard to come by down the years. There's been obviously various different titles won, and maybe at hurling more so.
Yeah, I remember them losing an under 21B final in 2015 to Galtee Gales.
Right, that's
The
Ballybricken.
Galtee Gales team that included a certain Bob Childs, a certain Tom Childs, the McGrath brothers, and I'll tell you, that particular year, this is a true story. They were trying to get a B championship. Hugh Murphy was secretary of the board at the time. Galtee Gales had entered for the county under 13 aside, and Hugh Murphy twisted their arm. They had only 16 players, and they had only genuine 16 players. If you go back and see the program, there was only 16 players named.
Yeah,
and he persuaded them. Would they try and put 15 on the field? They did it, won the South and won the county. True story for the girls.
Right, anyway, Knock-On and Ballybricken Saturday afternoon, and Brewery and Knockany, they're the Junior B semi-finals. And down at the bottom in the inaugural Junior C, we will know the finalists come the end of the weekend. It's South Liberties who faced Lynn. South Liberties won their group. Lynn got the better of Dunbradford in a quarter-final last weekend. And then the other one, it's Patrick Swell versus Atay. Atay getting the better of Ballinacurra Gales to come through there. And I'd say there might be an all-star or two from yesteryear on display for the Well, or a more recent one or two as well, if rumours are to be believed. But Patrick Swell and in South Liberties, in fairness, 2 clubs returning to the football ranks, and fairness, Glyn and Atay putting in second strings this season. So great to see good combinations of clubs there, and we'll have our first Junior C finalists by the end of the weekend. Yeah,
absolutely, and looking forward to it. And again, congratulations to the clubs that have got back and have come so far. Congratulations also to Atay and Glen, because they seem to have fallen off the ledge higher up the football ladder in Limerick. But maybe this might be something that will kickstart the revival in those 2 clubs, which would be excellent, Tom.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay,
as far as I'd be concerned, the Junior C Football Championship is fulfilling its mandate.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just to mention at this juncture, the official Limerick GA calendar for 2026, which celebrates 100 years of the Gaelic Grounds, that is now on sale at a myriad of different venues across the county, different shops, bookshops, petrol stations and the like. So well done to, I believe, Niall Deegan, Liam O'Brien, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a few there, but James London, yeah, and I suppose everyone else has been involved in the production of that. It's yourself and myself have got an early copy of it, Matt. We're delighted with it.
Yeah, Tom, tis an excellent, tis an absolutely excellent production, and credit to the lads. But Tom, everything that they produce and have produced, and they're producing on an annual basis now, and it's absolutely top class. And like if you want really, really nice keepsakes, ideal for a Christmas stocking. Absolutely ideal.
Yeah, it's only $12.50 as well, so it won't break.
It's only $12.50 absolutely. But Tom, absolutely huge credit to the lads. This is another absolutely fantastic production. Like you would be riveted to every page of it, in fairness.
Yeah, it's a great way of celebrating 100 years at the Gaelic Grounds, because obviously the Gaelic Grounds is
absolutely. And I only trying to think of the amount of thought that went into it, because there was such a myriad of stuff out there. to pick, and they've done an excellent job, and I would commend it to anybody. Any Limerick GA follower, there shouldn't be a Limerick GA follower anywhere without this. And the proceeds are going towards the upkeep of the Gaelic grounds.
Right. I wasn't even aware of that. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's an incredible production. But Tom, this is what we've come to expect from those three gentlemen.
Yeah.
Only the best.
Yeah. The cover shows Declan Hannon, Donal O'Grady, Kieran Carey, Joe O'Connor, and who is that? Oh, Eamon Cregan. Sorry, is the last one. Yeah, a very young looking Eamon Cregan. So there's all the glory days almost on the Ennis Road venue. So do pick that up. It's available in loads of independent shops and petrol stations. Yeah,
there was a limited number, but I understand that there was to be a greater number announced in greater circulation in the. This week there was to be a greater circulation.
Times of plenty for the stocking filler.
Well, I know it is available anyway in Kilfinnan and Kilmallock here, so
yeah. And
anybody in Blackrock or anybody in Glenroof for that matter, and anybody in Effin or anybody, it's in Kilfinnan and Kilmallock. So, and
we have listeners everywhere.
We'll be talking about in a few minutes if they could go and pick up their copy of it, and look at 12.50, Tom. It's a snip.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, moving to hurling, Matt. Just before we get into the action, I suppose we should mention it broke the other day nationally, and I suppose then locally as well. Shane Dowling, Seamus Flanagan, and a number of others, will appear have either moved on or have, I suppose, been moved away from the Limerick panel for now. Anyway, in a lot of cases, Shane Dowling. I saw him on Off the Ball this morning, briefly, I suppose, discussing that that his time was up, and he wouldn't be getting in the way of any other goalkeeper in that regard. He's, I think he's be 33 by the time Limerick line out again. He's still 32 to be fair. Seamus Flanagan, it looks like his time has come to an end, and there was a few others as well mentioned along the way. But those two in particular, Matt, I know Shane only has one All-Ireland, I say only, in the context of his injury that scuppered his opportunity for much more. But Seamus Flanagan has 5 All-Irelands, 2 superb servants from underage right the way through to senior in the Green of Limerick.
Absolutely, Tom. Two incredible servants, and I know all the focus now. There are others like I think Jason Gillan, Fergal O'Connor, Micheál Houlihan, Cian Scully have gone off the panel as well.
Yes, the ones that were mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as Shane Dowling, what can you say about Shane? Like the way he manfully faced up to injury, and the courage he had to make the comeback. But it was typical of the man, because with Nicky Quaid's injury, Shane Dowling felt that Limerick had an hour of need, and he fair juiced him, absolutely fair juiced him. He can never get credit enough for putting his hand up and saying, look, I'm going to make myself available. And the few times he played with Limerick, he didn't make a mistake, Tom.
Yeah, he played two league games, I think it was, and he played in the kind of dead rubber game with Clare in the championship. Yeah. I'm delighted for him in regards to the game against Clare. While Limerick lost, it was you got to play in the championship for Limerick again. Okay, not the greatest circumstances and all that, but you got to play in the Gaelic grounds again, because you go back before that, it was 2019. He scored that great goal up in Croke Park for Limerick. He was only 26 when he played in that game, from my maths, and was literally robbed of his peak years. 26 to about 30 for a lot of guys is when they really come through. That's quite literally when he didn't get to line out for Limerick or even beyond in his case. And to have made the comeback, having managed the Limerick minors in between, have been a Sunday game pundit. He's done so much.
Tom, he can walk away with his head so high, and one All-Ireland medal is unfortunately a paltry return for the contribution that he has made to his county, both on and off the field. He epitomizes to me everything that is good in a hurler, everything that's good in a leader.
Yeah, he'd be one of the first names I think of when you think of 2018, because of the contribution, that penalty against Cork in the semi-final. Did he get something earlier in the round? Did he get 14 or 15 points again in the win over Waterford in the group stage? actually at the time, Matt, that put him ahead of Gary Kirby as Limerick's all-time championship scorer. Now, a certain Mr. Aaron Gillan has passed him out in the interim, but he was Limerick's all-time top scorer at a point, which will tell you the contribution he made in about a decade in the green. So.
Tom, his contribution has been incredible, and all we can say is thanks, Shane. Thanks for everything. He has been simply magnificent right from the time through colleges, as a Limerick minor, as a Limerick under 21, absolutely fantastic. Shane Dowling's contribution is peerless, and as I said, the only disappointment I have about Shane Dowling is that he has only one All-Ireland medal, because his contribution deserved an awful lot more, Tom.
It did.
And I'd also like to pay tribute to Seamus Flanagan.
Yeah.
Seamus Flanagan has had a wonderful, wonderful career, and I'd be hoping, Tom, that his departure from the panel may be only temporary. That the door may open again sometime down in the future, to see him back, because he has put in some incredible performances. 8 points from Clay in a Munster final, Tom.
Yeah, in the wind and the rain and in Thurles, it's so superb.
That defines him as a hurler, as far as I'm concerned. That's the Seamus Flanagan, and there were some great goals down along the career, in his career. By any benchmark, by any yardstick, Seamus Flanagan's career has been stellar.
Yeah, 3-3 against Cork in defeat in Páirc Uí Chaoimh in an absolute cauldron in 2023.
Yeah,
on another night that would be one of the most memorable Limerick, forward performances of all time. But obviously Cork pipped Limerick at the end. It kind of gets forgotten about. But yeah, he had a superb innings, and he started in Limerick. Limerick played in 5 All-Irelands in his time. Did he start in 4 of them, I think?
He did, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, off the top of my head now, yeah, certainly started in 18, and he was still quite a young man. But look, he's a young family. I think his wife, his name is Laurie, I believe. They have a young family. That probably take centre stage now, and I'm sure he's
probably. It's like players as they move on from the late 20s into early 30s. Most players have a lot given at that stage, but there are other commitments and there are other priorities in life, especially the arrival of a young family, and a father needs to be with him, and that sort of thing. And fair play to Seamus, and well done, Seamus, and a great career. And the same to the other 4 lads who have contributed, maybe not as much, but were always available. And Fergal O'Connor had a very good year. He had a couple of very good years at under 20 level.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was with that very good team with the likes of Adam English, Aidan O'Connor, and Colin Reilly.
He moved up, and any time he was summoned, Tom, Fergal O'Connor never left Limerick down.
Yeah, no, it's just
Micheál Houlihan is the same. Had some very good league games for Limerick in the past.
Yeah.
And as I said, Cian Scully was just coming on. Jason Gillan was only just coming on. But to the 4 lads, I say well done, lads.
All 4
you've been part of a great journey.
Yeah, and all 4 are probably young enough as well that we could not rule out a return in some point.
A return, absolutely.
Yeah, that's for sure. And
no, I haven't heard for definite of anybody coming in. I've heard rumours.
Rumours, yeah, and likewise, and we won't speculate in case they're misinformed. But obviously, given what we said there will be 2 new goalkeepers in to bring it to that magic number of 3. But look, we'll see who they are. I'm sure plenty.
Well, Conor Handley-Clark just missed out last year.
Yeah, he was kind of number 4, as it were, and he slipped away after a while. But look, I have heard a couple of names, but look, we'll see when it's officially announced. It would be probably unfair of us in this format to speculate as to who they may be at this point. So matters on the field, Matt. We'll come to Munster Club in a minute. We've obviously a trio of teams in Munster hurling action at the weekend. Matters locally, Matt. The 20s is chugging along. We'll come to that when we get towards the business end. But the last 2 adult finals are known. One of them takes place this weekend, the other next weekend. That's namely the Junior B and the Junior C. So the Junior B final You and me have a bit of skin in the game. Obviously, I think you have family connections in Staker Wallace. And
it mightn't be generally known, but I'm 3/4 a Staker.
Right.
How that comes about, but I am, yeah.
So your lineage is Staker Wallace direction.
Both sides of my family came from Stakers.
So Ballybrown are the hurdle for them this weekend. Probably in a lot of people's eyes, Ballybrown are firm favourites going into this one. Haven't been in the last 2 finals, but Staker Wallace were for so long a junior A team themselves, and on the bit of a build back up. And these sides actually met last year as well in the quarter final. I think it was the quarter final. Ballybrown.
Quarter final, Ballybrown won it, and like people would be saying, where is the underage structure in the Stakers? It's there, Tom, and it's very healthy under the guise of Coshley Gales themselves and Effin. And Effin will tell you, will make no bones about telling you the value that it has been to them. And probably greater value to them than the Staker Wallace yet. But the Staker Wallace are beginning to reap rewards from it now, Tom. And they have some very, very good young players. And I saw them playing this year. And if they're to be caught on Sunday, it will be because of the number of young players that are in the team.
Right.
But I can tell you one thing, Tom. Ballybrown might be favourites. And they went very, very close last year, only beaten by a point or 2. Was it by Kildimo Palace, Kenry?
2, I think, last year, and 1 the year before by Monleen.
One year by Monleen. And you saw what happened. Those 2 teams went on to win the All-Ireland B Championships.
Yeah.
So they're coming in with pedigree. But I can tell you, in Paddy Carroll Park on Sunday, the Stakers will die with their boots on, Tom.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no, I won't be able to get there. I would love to see it. I think
I have it penciled in as unmissable. So
very good. The problem for Ballybrown, of course, Matt, is that they haven't really been tested. They blew Doon away. They blew Fedamore away. They won the city final convincingly against. Was it Napirshick or was it Napirshick? I think, wasn't it, or Monleen? I'm mixing up, but they haven't had a competitive game, and I mean competitive in regards to, a real wire-to-wire game. And they had
but I was putting that down to the strength in the side.
Yeah.
Now, strange to say, the Stakers had a very narrow escape in the South Championship, and it came from Glenroo's second team
in the semi-final or the
in
final?
The semi-final.
Yeah.
Who really, really put them to the pin of their collar to get over it, which was a bit of a surprise now, but I've been championing here for a while now, the amount of young players that Glenroe have coming through, and just seen, I suppose, in the relegation final, and it was only earlier today I met somebody and we were recounting back as to why Glenroe were in the relegation final, because they have a very good young team coming up, and were very, very unlucky in a couple of games. Could well have been in the semi-final. But the Stakers come with pedigree as well, Tom. They come with, but they'll be coming with a young team, and they haven't won it since 1990.
Right. I don't know, have Ballybrown ever won it? I don't think. To my knowledge, and obviously it was nearly always their third team that would have played, and I don't think Ballybrown ever won it themselves. But this is their second team now. In this instance, it was nearly always their third team that would have fielded in the grades. But look, Ballybrown have plenty of experience from senior level.
When I see the like of Luke Dorn and like of Andy Cliff, the like of Barry O'Connor, it's a strong squad, Tom.
Yeah. Those men would have been on underage county panels in their time. Conor O'Neill.
There's some very, very good players on that Ballybrown team.
Yeah. And joint captain by good friends of mine, and Kevin Foster and Sean Healy. They'll kill me if
Kevin Foster is another one,
Yeah. There's a lot of. I think I looked at the team the last day, and I think I counted nearly 12 or 13 lads that had played senior in some shape or form in recent memory. So, But then again, there's a reason they weren't playing senior this year. They were deemed, a little bit lower in the pecking order, and they have to earn their innings at senior or at junior B level. I suppose the thing for Ballybrown is they only use 20 players at senior level, Matt. I was keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, I was just coming to the point that
Their junior B team was kept
Junior
quite.
B team was an independent republic within the club.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's a very fair point. Like, they've only used 20 players across, 7 senior games. It shows you that maybe there was nearly, as you say, nearly 2 separate teams. But look, that's set for 2 p.m. in Ballygran on Sunday. It should be a thriller. It's great for a club like Stakers, and I don't want to patronise anyone here, Matt, by saying it, but I just think...
Yes, and then on Sunday they're looking to complete a league and championship double. They won the league earlier on this year, and they impressively won the league. They beat Palace Green in the final. I was at it, and they were impressive on the night, I would have to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, best wishes to both. 2 p.m. in Paddycar Park, Ballygran, this Sunday afternoon. Just to mention, as you said, I think we touched on it twice already. The Junior C final will be between Monaghan's second team and Doon's fourth team. The Junior C title that's taking place on Sunday
week, Tom.
Yeah, in Mungret, I think is the
current
venue anyway.
It's unfortunately going to be lost inside in a myriad of counties football finals.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But we
and by the same token, I wasn't in Mungret GA grounds for over 12 months.
The new pitch is opened, and that's what the game was on the weekend.
The new pitch is something else. Huge credit to the club. Like if you ever wanted a paragon of a club that's able to do it on the field and do it off the field, here you have it.
Yeah, for sure.
And they have adapted the one club concept, which I have no doubt. That they were the pioneers of it in Limerick, actually.
I think Cappamore as well. I know Cappamore don't have ladies football, but Cappamore were another club that kind of pushed it all together as well.
Pushed it all together very quickly. But Tom, I congratulations to Mungret. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
I think if you were there now, and if I go down in a month's time again, there'll be more improvements. That's the pace of the development. Now, I know they have a huge catchment area, and they were explaining it to me down there last Sunday. And, they go right into Raheen and all that sort of it. They have a big catchment area. But Tom, big catchment area counts from nothing. Like there are a lot of area clubs with big catchment areas, and they're not able to compete beyond junior because they don't put the work in. But Mungret St. Paul's have created the environment that young fellas want to come play hurling, play football. Young girls want to play camogie, ladies football. On Saturday, they won the Junior A Camogie Championship.
Yeah,
they'll be playing intermediate next year.
They've been promoted. They've been promoted in all 4 codes in the last 4 seasons, I think it is, or 5 seasons.
The environment is created there. Minute you cross the gate, you can see there's a buzz about the place. But full credit, I know we had some of them on here in the podcast in the past, but the progress they have made since, Tom, is phenomenal. And full credit to Mungret St. Paul's.
Yeah, so that's the venue for the Junior C final between Doon's 4 team. So three county finals and 1 semi-final for Doon's 4 adult teams this season. And the team that didn't make the final won the East Junior B, so they have a silverware to put on the table. And they also have the minor one, and they have the Premier minor one, and they're still in the mix in the 20s at the early stages. Okay, club, interprovincial club as it were. Matt, we will start with, I think we'll work our way up, Matt. We'll look at Knockaderry first. Knockaderry are in Munster quarterfinal action this Saturday afternoon. They head to Kerry. And
they head to Temple No to take on Kinmare Shamrocks.
Yes, who are the Kerry Intermediate Hurling
champions. And it is on in Temple No at 1:30. This is Knockaderry's second excursion into Munster Clubs Championship, as they were in the Junior Clubs Championship in 2004 when they lost to Ballygarvan in Ballygarvan, lost narrowly, mind you. And now, obviously, they will have no players that played in that involved now. But
well, sorry, I was told, I met Ger Corkery during the week, and he told me that Tom Condon did play in that.
21 years ago.
he played in that county championship win in 2004. Yeah, so there's a fair chance he played in the Munster club.
Well, he played. Because he played. He was a Limerick minor. He played with Limerick minors in the All Ireland final of 2005.
Yeah, but
now Limerick didn't win the Munster championship that year, but they got through by virtue of the winners and losers going through, and then in the semi final they beat Dublin above in Nolan Park.
Yeah,
and they went to Croke Park, and the narrative around their visit to Croke Park to play Galway, powered by Joe Canning at the time, was that they were just going to make up numbers. But by God, they gave Galway plenty of it. On a day when Owen Ryan, who is now involved with the Munster Council and was one of 4 Kilmarnock players on the squad, scored 5 points on the day in the final in Croke Park.
But anyway, he got his county medal, his second one last week. But Tom Condon may again get another foray into Munster club action.
Well, that's interesting now, because I was looking through the squad and I said, Tom, was he? He was minor in 2005. He was a 17-year-old, it was allowable in those days.
Yeah, it was indeed. Yeah, I think there was a couple of other teenagers that featured en route to that county success. What do we know of Kenmare Shamrocks, Matt? They probably haven't played in a while competitively because
very, very little. They haven't been in this competition only once or twice before. I think, Tom, I seem to remember that Kenmare Shamrocks featured in Kildee on a couple of occasions.
Right, in the Junior B series, yeah.
No, I can't locate it, but I've an awful idea that I came across Kenmare Shamrocks in that. But they're the intermediate champions of Kerry, and they are to be respected. So I still think that Knockaderry will have enough, Tom. I would be very hopeful. It's a huge boost, and winning the Junior A championship, and they really, Tom, they really got a test in the county final from Doon.
They did. Yeah, well, they were the thickness of their goalkeeper, as if you like, away from being knocked out.
It was better than 10 training sessions, that nearly.
Yeah. No, they were
that type of a test, and to pass it. Yeah. So I think they're in a good place, and I'm sure on county final day, the last thing in their minds was the Munster clubs. Even though they had qualified for the Munster clubs before the ball was thrown in against Doon, because Doon's second team couldn't compete. But I'm very hopeful, Tom, Raf, when we started off this podcast, when I'd be given the nod or expecting Limerick teams to win, he'd say the green mist is coming down over your eyes. But it isn't. I firmly believe that we may have 3 wins in the Munster Club Championship this weekend.
Right. So it's Kenmare for Knockaderry. The winner, if they do win, they'll be at home in the semi-final against Kilbrittain of Cork, which I think is Jamie Wall's club, isn't it?
It's Jamie's club, yeah. It's Jamie's club in West Cork, yeah.
Yeah. So look, the home advantage,
and it'll be a wonderful occasion if they do, and it'll be a great opportunity for them to showcase their new facility.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's penciled in for the 15th, so they'll have 2 weeks. If they can extend their season, they get another 2 weeks out of it if they get the better of Kenmare Shamrocks. Moving up, Matt, to intermediate, we mentioned them there, the Bouncers, Gary Spillane, another side who have the prospect of playing a home semi-final, but first in their way are the Waterford Premier Intermediate runners-up in the form of Tallow. So an interesting dynamic. It's being played at Fraher Field. Tallow haven't played a club hurling match in about.
They haven't played since they haven't played in 9 weeks.
9 weeks. There we go. Yeah. So the end of August.
They were runners-up in Waterford to Ballygunner. They suffered 2 defeats in the Waterford Championship this year, and both were to Ballygunner in the group stages, and again in the county final. And the upshot of it all is that Ballygunner will have 2 senior teams in the Waterford Championship next year, but that is Waterford GA's problem and Ballygunner's problem. But Gary Spillane have been in this competition before. I was at it in 2018 when they lost to Clonea, and they were the then Waterford champions. And of course, Tom, they were in the senior Munster Senior Clubs Championship in 2005. And guess who knocked them out?
Adair? No.
Adair
Sorry,
couldn't knock them out.
Sorry, 2005. Who put me on the spot now? The Limerick winners in Brewery, was it?
No,
Gary Spillane.
Who knocked Gary Spillane out?
Oh, sorry, Ballygunner.
Ballygunner.
Sorry, I get my wires all crossed in my head there. Yeah,
Ballygunner.
Ballygunner. Yeah. No, I'd seen photos of that. I think.
And it was quite a close game inside the Gaelic grounds. By Gary Spillane gave him plenty of it. Now Gary Spillane fell flat when they played Clonea 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And but I'm convinced, and I said it at the outset of this particular episode of the podcast, Tom, that I think that they're much better prepared this time. Much better prepared. Now there will be a residue of experience coming over. The like of Dylan O'Shea, Ryan Tobin, lads like that would have played back in that time. So they will bring that bit of experience. I'm pretty confident, Tom. I pretty Colin Ryan would have played.
He was midfield when the county win that year, so yeah, he probably was.
I'm pretty confident that Gary Spillane can get off to a winning start on this one. And again, I think they have a home semi-final.
They do, yeah, and they'll be bringing them to Knocklong. I just had the fixture there if they do win, but we're allowed to jump ahead. Yeah, it'll be Abidorney of Kerry or O'Callaghan Mills of Clare. So as far as I know, anyway, they've home advantage in the semi-final if they prevail. But that's the prize and offer, and it will be a serious occasion in the middle of the month, in the 16th. I think it's penciled in for a magnificent occasion for all connected to the Bouncers to have a Munster club game in their grounds. So yeah, look, that's
Tom, and they've had plenty of opportunity to prepare for it and prepare for big crowds because they got caught early in the year with a big crowd for Doon and Kilmallock. You will remember it.
Yeah.
When there was huge problems with traffic and things, mainly traffic, and by God, have they addressed it since? And everything has gone so smooth since, with extra parking facilities, everything. When it comes to logistics, you have no worries with Gary Spillane. Holding a fixture.
To avoid the 2-hour threshold again this week, we'll keep going, but it is a 1:30 p.m. start in Capricorn Logistics Fairfield in Dungarvan. So it is Tallow hosting Gary Spillane. So best wishes to them and the trip there. The Munster Senior quarter final will take place at the Gaelic grounds. A short trip for Napirsig up the road where they were victorious, obviously, a couple of weeks ago. And it is familiar sights in the red and black of Ballygunner, who stand in their way. Ballygunner, obviously, All-Ireland champions in recent times, but dethroned from Munster last season by the Cork side, Sarsfields, and they've once again prevailed in Waterford. Was it 12 championships in a row now, or 11?
12 championships in a row, Tom, and they have been idle for almost 2 months.
Yeah, 7 or 8 weeks as well, yeah.
Because just to explain to viewers, Waterford run off the hurling championship. And when the hurling championship is over, they run off the football championship.
Yeah, which is just finishing up now. Yeah, so you're given. I heard you say it there. You're giving the Piercy a very good chance here, but they probably.
I am, and for the same reason as Gary Spillane, and I give the Piercy a very, very good chance. And the Piercy, whilst we say to a certain degree, you'd have to say they sailed through the Limerick Championship.
Yeah.
You know, they encountered very, very little difficulty apart from the first round with Doon. But the county final, Tom, will stand hugely to Napirsig. Plus the fact that I think that Napirsig are a much better side than they were 2 years ago when they went down to Ballygunner.
Yeah, well, they've a
and
full
if you recall, Tom, if you recall 2 years ago, there was a no-show by Napirsig for 50 minutes, and they came thundering into it and were very, very close. Were very, very unlucky in the end to go out of the championship.
Yeah,
and they will be mindful of all that. And like Conor Boylan is back now, he's probably likely to start. You know, I don't want to second guess Shane O'Neill or his management team or anything. Made a huge impact, even if he doesn't start. What a player to be coming off the bench. What a player Tommy Grimes is to be coming off the bench. If that's going to be his fate. Like, you see, it's a very, very strong Na Piarsaigh squad as distinct from team.
Yeah.
And having the like of Peter Casey back, Adrian Breen in fine form, Kevin Downs, like you look at names. What about Will O'Donoghue? Outstanding in the county final.
Yeah. Peter Casey was outstanding too. Yeah, Mike Casey.
Players like Emmett McAvoy, Jerome Boylan, who was in here with us last week, Vince Harrington, Mike Casey. You can go right through Shane Dowling, who we spoke about a while ago.
Yeah, they will need to, I think, improve on that Doom performance though, because Ballygunner are a different prospect in Munster compared to, it's a different dynamic to a county final. I think they have every chance, but I think they'll probably need to find a little bit more than maybe they did in the county final, and need to be, just maybe that bit more efficient as well in front of goal. I think that's the key. Here, like you'd have like Pádraig Mahoney, Desi Hutchinson are two, obviously the main threats, and if they can keep them quiet, they go a long way.
Yeah, but they have to worry. They have to worry about Peter Casey, Kevin Downs, Adrian Breen. That they've in the Ballygunner have plenty to worry about at the back.
Yeah, that's for sure. This is a quarter final, so it's 3:30 p.m. in the Gaelic grounds. It's Clareman in the middle, and the winners will face Sarsfields of Cork, and it'll be home advantage again for Na Piarsaigh if they win as well. So a big prize and offer there, in the form of a Munster semi-final against the Cork champions. Okay, Matt, that's the hurling. Unless there's anything else we've missed on the hurling front, but I think that just about covers it. The Camogie, we finally had a win for Newcastle West in this Munster Camogie Championship. Awful conditions, I believe, in West Clare, but Aina Kilnamona are no more, and Newcastle West are into the next round of Munster. 5 points.
Do you ever consider being a poet, Tom?
No, but anyway,
that sounded poetic. But you were imparting very, very, very good news, and
yes, exactly.
Congratulations to Newcastle West. I'm absolutely thrilled with their performance. And you're right. It's the first time that they've got a Munster Championship win. Now they went to Cork 2 years ago and were very, very unlucky. And I think I made the point here last week that the performance against Galtee was not Newcastle West like last year.
Yeah.
And I think that has been borne out. And it was fantastic. You must remember that Aina Kilnamona knocked out Trua Clonlara in the Clare final. Yeah. And Trua Clonlara were beaten in the All-Ireland final last year. So that will give you an idea of the pedigree of the
reigning Munster champions. Yeah.
And to go down into their own patch and get the better of them is incredible. And I think I spoke last week, Tom, about the two young players that have come into this squad. I'm talking about Hazel Horgan and Maya Smith. And again, they were to the fore, a goal and 3 points between them, Hazel Horgan getting the vital goal. But as a team, Tom, and I saw a good bit of them last year and a good bit of them the year before, but I think of the 3 years and the 3 titles they have won, this is the best Newcastle West team. I think Mike Quaid has done a fantastic job with them. I think they have shown demonstrable improvement on last year. Apart from the addition of the 2 girls, but they have shown it all around the field. And look, Tom, it was a great day and a huge boost for Limerick Camogie.
Yeah,
that the Limerick senior champions can go out there, mix it with the best, and win. Yeah. Now they're away to St. Finbarr's in the second round in the semi-final on Saturday week.
Right, you're probably the only person in the world who knows that fixture, because I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, but, it'll probably be in St. Finbarr's ground or maybe Castle Road. I'm not sure.
Okay, it's a big opportunity to get to a Munster final for them. But best wishes and well done to Mike and the ladies on a very memorable, I'm sure, afternoon.
Mike and his management team and the girls and everybody connected with the club, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
The Mike Prize.
Tom, there were a number of finals also played
Just on the Munster club, do we know Patrick Swell's junior commitments?
We don't know. Sometimes I wonder, is the Munster Camogie a secret society?
Secret Service of Munster Camogie, yeah.
I have searched all the websites and searched everything and nothing.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I said if you don't know, then there's no chance anyone else will know. So we'll see the results maybe.
I'll be probing deeper into it tomorrow, Tom.
Fair enough. Yeah, but as of now,
probing until I get an answer.
Matters locally, Matt. You mentioned Mungret promoted.
I did. And in Mungret we had 3A finals last weekend. All 3 were played in Cappamore. Cappamore is an excellent venue. We were there at a couple of sets of finals last year, and the first one was the A Shield final, and in that Doon, who were runners up in the cup last year, they beat Ballygran, who were the Junior B champions last year. Now, Tom, these are the teams that finished 5th and 6th in the group that contest the Shield. You might say, look, it's one for everybody in the audience, but there's 7 clubs. Well, in the intermediate and Junior A Championship, 6 of them got through to fight for silverware. Now, the B final, Tom, you'll be very, very pleased to know, was won by Ballybrown.
I know, I heard.
I expected that you heard with Moraid playing.
Yeah. She got player of the match again, Matt. So the Mantelbeast getting full at home in Clarina. So
she did. So that's an All-Ireland player of the match and a county final player of the match. They played in the plate final, and they defeated Fina Kilbeedy. Now,
5 points, I think, was it in the end, or 4, maybe 4 or 5
1
points?
8 to 9, I think, or something like that.
110 to 8.
110 to 9.
Yeah, 8 or 9 anyway. Yeah, but
And
look, both those clubs will have felt a little bit unlucky not to have squeaked through into the top 2. You know, it was a very tight group overall. Teams they were all beating each other really, and those 2 sides ended up in a battle for the kind of 3rd and 4th, really. You know, but it's great. It's a great reward for a year to have a bit of silverware, and I'm sure.
Yes, and of course, the main one was the A Cup final, and
so Mungret's Camogie Odyssey, Matt. I think not that long since it was established. They were Junior B winners in 2020, I think it was, and another rung on the ladder now up to the 2nd tier. And
they went into the game, Tom, as outsiders. As I said, I was in Mungret last Saturday, and a lot of the Mungret lads were at that stage preparing to leave to go to Cappamore for the final. You know, and you know, they were hoping for a good performance, but they got a very good one. I think they were 363 points up at halftime, because St. Ailbe's, who have been making great progress, and Sheila Minahan lined out in goal, and of course Sheila won an All-Ireland with Limerick in 2014 and was the manager of the St. Ailbe's senior football team, and you had players like Katie Heelan, who has represented Limerick in Camogie, Alex Russell, who was centre back, and of course they had Niamh Ryan up in the forwards. So there was an expectation surrounding St. Ailbe's, but it just didn't materialise, Tom. So it's the spoils of victory go to Mungret St. Paul's, and congratulate them on it. Now in the B Championship, the Junior B Cup, Tom, was won by Newcastle West, who have now completed a senior and Junior B double. And of course, they'll be playing Junior A next year. So that will give you an idea that the conveyor belt in Newcastle West Club is very, very healthy. They won by 10 points to 6 against Tournafulla, Tom, who are losing their 4th in a row B Cup final.
It's not worth thinking about for them, but unfortunately, that's the fate that has fallen upon them. You know,
has fallen upon them. You know, and your heart goes out to them. I saw them losing the final last year. They lost it to Ballygran, and look, what can you say? Now the B plate was won by Kilmallock. They defeated Knockaderry. So all that remains is, Tom, is the C Championship, and there's a cup, a plate, and a shield in it. And if you give me a second, I will get you the pairings. I know Croke Kilfinney are in the A final anyway, or in the cup final. I just have them here somewhere. I couldn't remember them. Yes, I have them here. It's a dare against Croke in the C Cup final. Blackrock, Effin and Granabellangary in the C Plate final, and Mungret St. Paul's and Tournafulla's seconds in the C Shield final. All games on the 8th or 9th of.
Very good. That'll bring the domestic adult series to an end, Matt, in Limerick.
Yeah, it brings down the domestic camogie season in the county.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay,
and like full credit to the camogie and to the ladies football. They had a huge program of fixtures between league and championships and different levels and A's and B's and C's. Everybody got a chance, and congratulations on another fine year.
Yeah,
okay. In promoting their respective codes, you must think I'm taken over by pleasantries this evening, Tom. But any code I'm handing out, I think that they are well warranted.
Okay, ladies football, Matt. I don't think we've anything to report this week.
No.
It's all quiet on that front in this regard. Okay, that's probably it. We're slightly short.
No, Tom, it isn't.
No,
it isn't.
Go on. What have you?
It would be very remiss of us if we didn't acknowledge the contribution of three men who are retiring from Limerick, Born and Og.
And I said this to you, and I forgot. I slipped off my agenda. I had it on my agenda, as you know, when I said it yesterday. So apologies for skimming over.
There are 3 men that I have the highest, utmost respect and admiration for. I'm talking about Dennis Carroll, Philip D, and Jerry McNamara, who are retiring as Born and Og chairperson, vice chairman, and children's officer. They have 40 years of service to Born and Og in this county, and I think
combined years between them, is it?
Sorry,
combined years.
40 years between them.
Yeah,
I think that is absolutely huge, and they're letting after them a legacy of structures, Tom, that are a credit to them, and their names, Tom, for the last number of years have been synonymous with Born and Og. It's very, very easy, Tom, to get into senior boards and work in senior boards, but the workload and the workload at underage is so much greater, and the workload is so much more important because the future of the games in the county hangs on the structures and the way that the Born and Og is organised, and these men made a huge contribution to ensuring that Limerick Born and Og was in tip-top shape down through the years. And I've seen it at first hand, getting pictures from them, getting results from them. The amount of it. Sometimes, Tom, we seem to forget about the number of games that they played during the year through the different grades.
They're leagues, and then they play the championships. But like it's not like Kilmallock have one team. Kilmallock have a 16s, 14s, 12s, and sometimes in between if it's the leagues or whatever, you know. So it's like triple the work nearly, and there's hurling and there's football, and then there's they have to deal with amalgamations, and they have to deal with all that sort of stuff that has to, you have to tie it all together, and it doesn't happen easy. I know from my friends who do it in the soccer world locally. It's bonkers work, and they're doing it for the whole county as well. And even in that time, Matt, the structures have changed. We were kind of previously on a divisional basis, and that is cited as one of the great reasons why, when we've gone all county, why Limerick has improved, especially in hurling. On the inter-county stage at adult level and minor and 20s, because we decided to grade all our teams in the underage, bring it all county, and if that means the Piercig have to go from the city out to Kilmallock for an under 14 match because they're the best two teams, at the same level, shall we say, or it means that Father Casey's have to come in to play Mungret in an under 16 football match. so be it. And it's it's a very strong legacy that's been left by the change in structures there.
Yeah, Tom, you've made a very, very valid point, an excellent point actually, because these three men were part of the board and Oak that saw the transition from the divisions to all county. And Tom, there was no little pushback. There was quite an amount of pushback against it. And to this day, you would hear people saying, "Oh, bring back the divisions," But you're right in your analysis of the value of the change. And these people these three men bought into the change with their fellow officers and led the change. And there's a huge debt of credit due, and to Dennis, to Philip, and to Jerry, we said thanks, congratulations on a job well done, and the best of luck to whatever you turn your hand to in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers who listen to that will echo those sentiments. Well done to the lads. They're not people I've more overly crossed paths with myself, but I'm sure thousands and thousands of people across the county have, in regards to volunteerism with their own clubs and their sons and daughters and everyone else that has played under the auspices of the board and Oak. But that is it for us. So this week on Treaty Talk, well done to the lads. Thanks to you, Matt. Thanks to Peter earlier in the piece. And folks, we'll chat to you at